Hello, and today we're going to check out the P821 from Pulsar Modular. This is a tape machine, and honestly, I just checked it out and I like the way that sounds. I'm going to start from the default preset. I'm not going to go into detailed explanation of what this actually does because there's plenty of these always on YouTube, like tutorials about it. You can probably just read the manual, which is not that extensive, doesn't have too many controls, and the amount of good information in it is astounding. So just read about it. You'll learn about tape machines and how they actually work, what biases, and various other things. So to test it out, I'm going to start with the default preset. I'm just going to play something through it. And just let's play with the input and the output. Now that's some serious saturation, yeah. Even now you can see the difference in between the input and the output. The input is the black arrow right here, and the red one is the output, and that's RMS for you. So that's really nice, and we have some modulation also happening, some wow and flutter. I'm not a big fan. I would predominantly use this for mastering or even, single elements, drums sometimes. Depends for which genre. Sometimes you want this, sometimes you don't. It really depends. I couldn't say that I would just put tape on everything. There are certain elements in some genres of music that I deal with, let's say psytrance, where you wouldn't want your transients killed off on certain elements. You really wouldn't. So I would probably avoid placing this on something, but usually I found that synthesizers could almost always benefit from tape. And I say that why? Because in today's synths and the patches we use and all of these, preset and all the presets that are available, there's a lot of high frequency content, which is not bad, so to speak. But if you mix that in with a full drum section, something like electronic music that has a really busy full rhythm section, a lot of hi-hats, those synths are going to cover up those hi-hats, so the whole groove is going to be not so clean and noticeable. So by placing something like this, like a tape at 456, let's say formula at 15 IPS, which is going to roll off a tiny bit of the highs and maybe boost some of the mids as well on the synths, it's going to help you get those hi-hats, push through the mix much easier, actually giving you the groove, better sense of the groove. So to go over this machine, it's quite easy. For me, the tape delay, I don't need it. The modulation and wow and flutter, honestly, I don't need it as well. I think I never used any of that on any of the tape machines I used ever. Maybe for a special effect, really, but in production, I wasn't really a big fan. And also the animation, where you can see the tape, changing the color of the tape, and you see it rolling when I actually play something like this. So that's not also something I need. It just takes screen real estate. Might look nice for a video like this, but it takes up screen real estate. So I can actually have this tape be the only thing I need, the controls. And I'd say I really like the way this one sounds, which is possibly the most important part of this video. Like, how does this tape machine sound? It sounds pristine. It's beautiful. I like the way it pushes both on the 456 and the 900 formula. The 456 should be something that, is applying more effect, so to speak, more tape, more aggressive with the tape, rounding off the transients, and the 900 should be more pristine, more transparent, let's say more mastering kind of thing. Of course, if you switch to 30 IPS, that's how many inches per second of tape passes over the head of the tape machine. That's going to give you less of a roll off in the highs, so a more flat response, frequency response basically. Now, for those of you who don't know what all of these tape plugins do, it's an emulation of how the music you are playing through it would sound if it was recorded to tape and played back from tape. And what would happen to it is a lot of magnetic artifacts that happen when you record something to a tape, and those actually, when applied right, sound good. So let's play this song and use the different tape formulas and the 15 and 30 IPS so you can hear the difference. I'm going to hold this at a pretty high, saturation level. Try it even the highest possible. And by the way, you have to push more with the 900 than you have to with the 456. So it's going to take more pushing into the 900 to actually get more saturation. Nice. can hear how immediately those highs get rolled off when you switch to a 15 inch per second speed, so a slower moving tape. Now, even so, even with the 30 IPS, this much input really saturates the highs. So you can see I lost a lot of the highs and the transients, and it's going to be even more so when I do the 456 formula. But listen to that compression. Yeah, I know it's weird, I'm overdoing it, but that kind of compression, that is actually that tape dynamic. That's what happens when you overload something, has no more, particles to polarize. That's really nice. And another thing that was, I think, done really well is the bias for the low and the high frequency separately. So you can use it, turning it clockwise to have it more dynamic, but more prone to distortion, and vice versa. And you can do the same thing with the bass. Just turning it anti-clockwise is actually going to make it more smooth, less transients, but also less chance of distortion, vice versa when you go clockwise like this. Anyways, you can use that in chance you want to do something to the beat. So let's try that too. More transients, and now anti-clockwise should be less. Yeah, you hear that? So less chance of distortion, but also you get less transient material. Yeah, this gives it, in my opinion at least, that radio ready kind of feeling. This is what that compression and that, EQ curve and all of that sounds like to me, at least from this machine. So aside of me just giving it praises that it's amazing, it sounds really good, which it really does. One thing I found bad, it was like opening the plugin doctor and checking out what happens with it. And you can see a bump in the lows, and that's normal. This is like at 20 hertz. So there is an EQ curve that, happens with it. If you push more, it happens more. Like if you change the tape formula, it's going to be different. If you change the IPS, it's going to be different. What I did find is that when you bypass everything, the phase gets all weird on you, which is fine. You can bypass it probably in your DAW, and it's not going to use this internal bypass of the plugin itself. Because if I enable the plugin, we don't have any of that. So it's, just handling the phase. Okay, normally it's going to have some phasing because it is applying some of the tape artifacts. So for me, that's normal. But what I don't understand is like when you bypass everything, what is that? So if anybody knows that I'm doing this wrong and that plugin doctor is giving me some bogus information, which is, I don't see how that could be. I'm thinking that this is the correlation between the input and the output. The phase correlation between those two is being shown, the difference. And I'm thinking that I'm reading this right. But if anybody has some information that I might not be aware of, please let me know. I checked out other plugins in Plugin Doctor that do not have this, even though they do saturation, they do nonlinear processing. So I could say that this is the only weird thing I found. Everything else is really cool. I like the way this tape machine sounds. I like the way dynamics are treated in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it on every piece of music, on every genre, but I like the way it sounds. So I like the saturation as well. It's all cool. The only thing I don't understand is this bypass, phase correlation thing. And this really surprises me. Not to say that you cannot avoid it. Honestly, this is the only weird thing about it. This is the only negative I could find. It's not like I was searching for negatives. It's just one of the things I ran into. So I thought it would be nice to mention it. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about phases and stuff, you can check out my full course on mixingacademy.com, and also being uploaded on this channel right now as well. You can find playlists on the channel. So if you prefer watching our video content on YouTube, it's going to appear here. The full course is going to be on YouTube too. If you like the video, give it a like. If you don't like my stupid glasses, comment. And if you did not subscribe, please do. A lot of you who watch these videos don't subscribe. It'll really help the channel to give it a like, subscribe, and comment something specifically about the video. The glasses thing is just a gimmick. See you in the next one. Bye.